It is 1815, and we are currently at Waterloo, in what is now known as Belgium. Today, we are what will become an important site in history. Waterloo, where the famous general, emperor, and conqueror Napoleon Bonaparte has been defeated by an allied force of the Seventh Coalition. The coalition had been considering France a threat for quite a while, ever since Napoleon started conquering areas around France, and finally defeated the previously undefeated emperor. Britain, Russia, Austria, and Prussia combined their forces with the specific goal to end Napoleon's rule. They put 150,000 men into the field against Napoleon's 69,000 men, including 250 artillery pieces. The emperor lost this battle due to being hugely outnumbered and having some very bad luck with his subordinates. Napoleon will be sent into exile until death, and that is all for now. Current date, 1830. Location, Greece, late from the Ottoman Empire. Welcome to what used to be part of the Ottoman Empire, one of the most powerful nations in Europe and the Middle East, but is now its own country. Greece is the first country to have gained its independence from the Ottoman Empire, and it took them 9 years of war to do so. The Greek revolutionaries were assisted by the nations of Egypt and Tunisia, who were their vassals. Russia and Britain and France all sent navies to Greece to assist the revolution and overthrow Ottoman rule. As this is only the first country to break free of the empire's influence, many more may be expected to follow. Current date, 1882. Today, the English are making their bid for a worldwide empire. They made their first incursion into Egypt. Soon, this great nation will occupy Egypt and have a foothold in Africa for subsequent ventures. Undoubtedly, this will lead to revolutionaries attempting to push the British out of their territories. But with one of the most powerful armies in the world, this should not trouble England's resources too badly. With current operations underway, the continent of Africa should belong to England within the decade. Current date, 1901. Today, we bear witness to the end of a golden era for England, the Victorian era, a time of progress for Britain. Queen Victoria's reign has ended after 64 years, and over those years, mortality and fertility rates changed for the best, architecture became prominent, and a serial killer named Jack the Ripper stalked the streets of London. More notes of progress from this era are the colonization and conquest of territories by the English, all the way from Africa to Asia. Many notable exploits have been made in these far-off places, conflicts such as the Boer War that produced a drain in the coffers of England. But what the British will do now that this era of magnificence has ended is currently unknown. Current date, 1918. After several years of some of the bloodiest fighting that the world has ever seen, including the invention of deadly new weapons such as poison gas and machine guns, the artillery has finally stopped firing on the surrender from Germany. With one of the largest casualty tallies ever seen, this dreadful conflict dragged on until America joined the fight on the side of the Allies, with support from the now communist Russia. The U.S. joined the conflict after the sinking of one of its ships and a telegraph from Germany to Mexico, asking the Mexicans to invade the United States. With America now in the war, Germany didn't stand much of a chance, and the standstill has now ended. On Russia, however, there was a series of revolutions. First, the White Revolution that brought a democratic government to power. Another reason that the United States joined the conflict in defense of this new democracy. Then the Red Revolution that brought the new Soviet Union to power under the system of communism. This was an unforeseen change, and the Union is now growing in power under the regime of its new dictators. Current date, 1945. Today, the Second World War has ended in Europe as Germany surrendered to the USSR. Even a desperate last stand outside dictator Adolf Hitler's bunker crumbled in the face and ruthless progress of the Red Army. After 5 years and uncounted bloody, vicious battles, the Allied forces have once again triumphed over the Axis powers. Also discovered in the advance of other Allied armies are the numerous concentration camps where the Nazis kept the Jews and the prisoners of war for execution, torture, and labor. The first soldiers to discover these locations reported back to their commanders that it was indescribable and that the commanders would have to come and see for themselves. The conditions were too horrible to try and describe, and I will not attempt to. As for the USSR, they have begun a campaign of conquest and building weapons to catch up to their new rival, the United States of America. It will certainly be interesting to see what the future brings for this rivalry between the two world powers.